My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
All right, everybody. I see this panel logged in and ready to go. The excitement is there. Grand Slam season is upon us. And we are going to be talking about the Australian Open here, getting ready, getting set for about 45 minutes as matches get underway. We got a good panel here. I'm Anthony Rivera out of the United States. And I've been on here a couple of times to talk about the U.S. Open as well. And I think I did last Australian Open as well. But let's go around the room real quickly. We'll start with you, Fergus, and then we'll go down the line and introduce yourselves.
So I'm Fergus Gavin. I'm based here in the UK. I've been watching tennis for about under a year now, but I like to think I know my stuff. But yeah.
Hello, friends. I'm Ashley. Not a first-time caller, but it's been quite a while since I've been here. But I am a journalist based out of Delaware in the United States, and been watching tennis since basically I was like a little kid, but I started getting into it like 2016, 2017. Super glad to be back.
I'm Carson. I'm from the United States. Been watching tennis on a more serious level for 3 or 4 years now, so haven't played professionally or anything. Played some in high school, but I think I know some things, so we'll see.
Hi everyone, my name is Viola. I am a sports journalist from Nigeria, that's in West Africa. It's currently past midnight here, and like they say during the Australian Open, sleep is for the weak, huh? So I have been watching tennis for about a decade now. When I look back, I can definitely not play to save my life, but I'll definitely talk.
Well, it's great to have everybody on here. And, when you look at the start of this Grand Slam season, the Australian Open, and I'll start with Viola, I'll start with you, and then we could go around the room here.
Mm-hmm.
What is the top storyline for you heading into this tournament? I know there's there's been a lot of talk with Jannik Sinner as well as Iga Swiatek, whether it comes with the doping issue. You got so many things going on. Carlito, as well as trying to win another final again. Novak Djokovic being the only of the big three now left to play in these tournaments. What are some of the storylines? Maybe each one of you can give me one that you're looking into for the start of this Australian Open.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Andy Murray coach Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open. We haven't quite seen that yet. This will be their first tournament together, and I really did not know what to expect. Do not know what exactly Andy Murray will be bringing to Novak Djokovic's game, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward to seeing how animated Andy Murray is going to be in the stands in his box. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'm going to, have my eyes on Novak Djokovic to see if anything has changed, if anything is changing, if it's still possible to get that 25th Grand Slam title. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest talking points of this Australian Open.
And it's really the first real big tournament that we're seeing these two, I guess, kind of superpowers of tennis work together. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for Djokovic in the end. I know that probably one of his biggest matchups wouldn't come until the quarterfinals, where he would play Carlos Alcaraz if they both make it there at the same time. So it'd definitely be interesting to seeing how that goes. And we got Nick in the room as well. What's going on, Nick?
All right, Anthony. I think I don't know if we've been on before. I think I remember your work from previously. Nice to come on and sort of quickly hop on and see what's everyone's at with the AO. I'm assuming that everyone's introduced themselves to the viewers.
Yes, we have everybody introduced. We're working on, what are the top storylines. As Viola said, one of them is the partnership between Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray. Nick, since you just got in here, and then we'll go around with everybody else. What kind of storyline are you looking for? What maybe one thing you can pinpoint into this Australian Open?
Well, as most people know, I'm more of a WTA guy. So I'm more going to be looking on that side of the draw, or that side of the tournament. I guess for me, storylines wise, I'm going to be looking at kind of the battle for number one that's happening right now. It's a three-way fight for world number one between Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, and Coco Gauff. Pressure on Sabalenka to defend her title, because Iga's got more points to gain than to lose, and Coco Gauff, she needs things to really fall into her place with her rivals to give her a shelf, but she's coming on strong. So I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what happens when we get to kind of crunch time towards the end of the tournament, if they're all still in it.
Yeah, and I think it's really close between the three of them, where either Sabalenka or Gauff maybe gets knocked out a little bit early, and Iga can just swoop in and get that number one right back there. But I look at Sabalenka and basically trying to make that three-peat and being the champion for the third time in a row. It's going to be interesting as well. Ashley, what do you think is probably the top storyline heading into this tournament?
Yeah, for me, it's almost the exact same as Viola is. Andy Murray coaching Novak Djokovic. You have to they were rivals for much of their careers. Now working together, so I'm interested in seeing that dynamic. And then just overall, I think the world of tennis is kind of being introduced to on in-match coaching. So. And I just saw that the Australian Open changed their rules a little bit with the coaching. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic kind of works out with the players and the coaches, and how they kind of navigate through the ebbs and flows of a match now with the new coaching rules.
So for those who don't maybe not know as much about the rules with the coaching, can you just explain a little bit to what the changes are heading into this tournament?
Yes. I had it written down somewhere and I just exited out of it. I'm so sorry.
That's all good.
But I believe that they're the coaches are closer to court level, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really interesting because now, and you can talk to your coach when you're on the same side of the court, and that to me is really interesting because now you can kind of hear the strategy just a little bit more, and how they approach and how different coaches approach talking to their players in the moment when they're trying to navigate maybe a rough patch or something is working well. And I quite enjoy hearing the strategy. I know some people are like, coaching should be outside of the match, but I like hearing the strategy, so I'm interested in that.
And we see coaching in all different types of sports, so why should tennis be really any different? It definitely looking forward to seeing how that works out, especially between those two, for sure. Carson, let us know what for you is probably the top storyline going into this Australian Open.
I think one of the storylines I'm interested in is Elena Rybakina and her coaching situation, and interested to see if that has any effect on her play as we begin this season. I'm sure everyone has heard about this, so I won't dive into it too much, but I do think it will be interesting just to see if there's any sort of distraction with her. And she had a rather tense press conference today. I'm not sure if some of you saw that, where she was rather cold with some responses about the coaching situation. This is a former Wimbledon champion. She's been a finalist here at the Australian Open. So she has a super high level, and we know that she can play very well in this tournament. The court conditions suit her very well. It's a very fast court, which helps her ball striking a lot. So I'm just interested to see if there's any of these off-court things that could affect her play in this tournament.
Sorry about that, guys. I put myself on mute to hear you all speak. and then I totally messed up myself. Fergus, for you, man, what is the top storyline you're looking forward to in this Australian Open?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if Sinner can keep up the level that he's been playing at for the last year. I think obviously Sinner was only beaten 6 times last year, and that's a crazy stat. And obviously winning the AO last year, and then obviously all the doping controversy that's been around in the last 3-4 months. It seemed to affect him at the US Open. He wasn't really over the moon as he was in Australia when he won the title in the Flushing Meadows. So I wonder if that's still having a bit of an effect on him. Obviously, his trial's supposed to start in April, I believe. So I just want to see if he can keep up that level for however long. And if he does, then I don't think anyone can touch him, really. He's putting out such a high level that only Alcaraz can really touch it at the moment. But if he drops his form, I mean, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the kind of round by round for Sinner. He really has I don't know if you all agree with me, but I feel like he has the easiest draw in the tournament for himself. Round 4 is where things start to kind of pick up. You have Rune, Hurkacz, Berrettini, Norrie. Then you look at the quarterfinals would be Demon Noor, Kashnikov, Tsitsipas. The semifinals may be where he faces some tough challengers in Medvedev, Fritz, Rublev, Musetti. And then the final, obviously, you mentioned is Alcaraz or Djokovic. You have Zverev, but, Zverev can't get out of his own way sometimes to win a tournament. And then you got Casper Ruud as well. Does everybody here feel maybe that Sinner, obviously, is the world number one, the number one in this tournament? Does he have the easiest path in this tournament of the ranked players to get to the final?
I mean, to be honest, is he's got Jarry in the first round, doesn't he? I believe. Is that right?
I think he does.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jarry, who I would call that a really unfortunate draw for Nico Jarry because he was actually not looking too bad this first couple of weeks of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Jarry obviously used to be a seeded player and he's just dropped out of the seeding, sort of the top 32. And I wouldn't say that's an easy first round match. I think some of the others have an easier first round match, but I think obviously Sinner will still win it comfortably. And then from there, I think it only gets easier for Sinner actually until you say the 4th round, which is really unfortunate because it would really be nice to see Sinner face a real challenge in the first round, like Djokovic, who was the first seed last year, did in Prismic, sorry. But it just seems that Sinner's going to float through to round 4 before things get interesting.
And Sinner plays his best on the hard court, right? He won Australian Open last year. He won the US Open this year. So he really has a huge advantage going into this tournament. First couple of rounds are going to be, good for him to get himself going. You mentioned the whole issue with the doping, and the same thing goes for, and I'll throw this to Nick, Iga Swiatek coming off of, her suspension and everything that happened in that whole situation as well. Do you feel like that will have any effect on her going into this tournament, especially with the pressure of trying to be world number 1 again?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. It wasn't visible at United Cup. She got on with it same way as Jannik Sinner did. I do not think that's going to have any kind of bearing on the how she's going to perform this tournament. In terms of the pressure of getting back to number 1, I think the fact that she's brought on win per set and there's a new coaching structure going on there and they're already working on some things and we could see an immediate impact at the United Cup. Honestly, I think the pressure is more going to come with how she deals with her biggest rivals, which are currently Elena, Coco, and Arena. So I don't think Iga's treating this as any different, and I don't think any of us should treat it as any different.
Last in 2022, she made it to the semifinals. That's the farthest she's gone in the Australian Open. As we already know, she's kind of the Rafa Nadal of the French Open, starting to have a resume, 4 titles there, a Wimbledon quarterfinals, and she's won the US Open already. So she'll be looking to get all the way to the finals this year. I want to throw into, and maybe throw this at Ashley as well as Carson. Any player, we could start with the men's side or the women's side, up to you guys, but anyone from the United States that you feel has a opportunity to make a deep run in this Australian Open.
Am I starting off?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ashley. You can start off. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Carson. I think Fritz has a shot. He's been in some pretty decent form lately. And I would like to see him make some more waves at a major. I think he's really coming into his own as a player, and he sticks to what he knows and his strengths, and sticks to that. So I would like to see Fritz make a bit of a push here. That's the person I'm kind of leaning on. I'm a Shelton girl. I've enjoyed watching Shelton play, but I think I'm putting my hat towards Fritz this time around.
I don't know about you, Ashley, but I feel like if there's anyone, I know that Fritz is kind of on this run. You know, Francis Tiafoe has made certain runs himself, but I feel like if there's anyone that's going to win a Grand Slam final from the men's side at some point, I do feel like I'm with you. I think it's Ben Shelton. He's young. He's got great serve.
Yeah, for sure. I think it just, it takes a little bit of time for him. And I think that's my biggest thing. He has to get a little bit more adjusted to the tour. And I mean, he was a sophomore when he came onto the scene at Florida. That's where I first learned about him. I'm an ex-SEC girly, Alabama. And I like Shelton a lot. It's just a matter of time, and the right things have to come together for Shelton, in my opinion.
And he's only 22 years old. He's still got a lot of game to go and play. He made it to the quarterfinals in 2023, and as we know, he made it to the semifinals in 2023 in the U.S. Open as well. So he's got a lot to play, a lot to go. How about you, Carson? Who are you looking for from the United States as possible players in this Australian Open that can make a deep run?
On the women's side, I think it's pretty clearly Coco Gauff. I think she can win any tournament that she's in. She's one of the best players in the world. On the men's side, it's, I think, a little more cloudy. Who's closest? Because Taylor Fritz obviously has a run to the finals in the U.S. Open just in this past year. He's also got a massive problem with Jannik Sinner, and that's just not a great matchup for him. I do think Ben Shelton is one who will get there eventually. One that I'm really interested this year would be Seb Korda. It's a bit underrated. He's struggled with health at times in the past year, but every time I watch him, I really do think that this is a top 5 to 10 player. As far as shot quality, he just hasn't been healthy. So I think if he's healthy, he's as dangerous as anyone on tour is. Not sure if I'm going to go as far in my prediction with him as John Wertheim did on a podcast a few days ago and pick him to run all the way to the semifinals, but I think he could make some noise in this tournament.
With how Fritz has played over the past year, the run that Francis Tiafoe gives us at the U.S. Open to end the year, and the up-and-coming Ben Shelton, I feel like Korda kind of gets lost in the mix when you look at U.S. men's tennis players. One of the girls who's coming in hot here is Madison Keys. She won the WTA Adelaide against Jessica Pegula. What are your thoughts on Madison Keys? I know she kind of ended the year a lot better. Madison Keys, what is she, you think, could get her to have a great tournament this at the Australian Open?
I think right now, seeing that she just came off of a title, she just needs to do what she has been doing. And she can beat a lot of people playing the way that she does. And she's another one that the conditions here in Australia really do bode well for her. And I think she's healthier than she has been in the past couple of years that she has been here. There are fewer questions about her form and performance. And she had a decent run at the end of the year. in the summer in the US, and then some nice wins in the Asian swing as well.
Ashley?
Yeah, just to piggyback on everything Carson said, I think she needs to just play within herself. I think when she tries to play with she tries to out hit her opponents and like try to blow them off of the court. That's where she can spray a lot of those errors, and that's when she starts to get in her own head. She's one of the most powerful players on the WTA side. I think if she just if she controls that power and she's really hitting her spots down the line, cross court, she is a really tough opponent to beat because that's a lot of the pace that you have to absorb and counterpunch really from Madison Keys. So it's really just like it's really about her controlling her errors and making sure that she's hitting her spots because most times like when you see her losses, the losses are really on her racket. You see how many errors that she's making, some of a lot of unforced, some forced. So it's really basically on her to kind of be within herself and do what she needs to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's go. I want to go to the comment that we have here. So, would love to hear, what match Biola, Ashley, and Carson, as well as Fergus, are looking forward to most today. Now, I'll be honest. This is not the best of the first day of the Australian Open. That's for sure. So, I'm going to throw it to you and see what match are you looking forward to seeing, and we'll start with Biola.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Mari Buskova versus Mira Andreeva. Mira Andreeva has grown so much in the last year. She's really world number 15 at the moment. It's really hard to comprehend that, but she's definitely earned it. Mari Buskova is a tricky player for almost everybody. You never really know what level to expect from her. So this just looks like one of those matches that could go on and on for over 2.5 hours. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that match today. I think on paper, a lot of people might be looking forward to seeing um, Arina Sabalenka versus Sloane Stevens, Battle of the Grand Slam champions, but that has never really gone Sloane's way over the years. Sabalenka has won all their 4 meetings, and while they are both Grand Slam winners, I just don't think Sloane Stevens can bring so much to this, considering her form in the last year as well. So yeah, those are two matches I'm really looking forward to on the WTA side on the first day.
On paper, Sabalenka versus Stevens sounds like a really good matchup, but I think that Sabalenka is just gonna be too much for her with her serve and just coming in and having all the confidence of the world of winning the last two Australian Open. So I think it's going to be a really tough matchup. And as you see up there, I guess it's the 4-0 there for Sabalenka over Stevens. You mentioned Andreeva, and she went to the semifinals of the French Open last season, got to the fourth round of Australian Open as well. So she's starting to really build as someone to really watch out for, not only for this tournament, but just in tennis in general. What is it about her game that you like, Biola?
I think she reminds me so much of Ons Jabeur. There's so much variety to Mira Andreeva's game. And when you think about her being just 17 years old, it's really mind blowing because she still has a lot of growing to do. You never really know what shots Mira Andreeva is going to bring out. She's also really quick on her feet as well. So yeah, I really, really like that about her. She's also very feisty. You can see that she's really passionate. She's very emotional. Of course, I think she needs to probably caution herself when it comes to her emotions a bit, but she is 17 and she has Conchita Martinez, who I think has done a really fabulous job with her in the last year as well. She's just a very fun watch, Mira Andreeva.
Well, you compared her to Ons Jabeur. Jake Davies in the comment that just came up a few seconds ago compared her, might be the next Vika. So we'll see how this continues to grow and how her character continues to grow on the court. Fergus, what match are you looking forward to? If it's not today, just in the first round in general.
Oh, first round in general is a very different story. So as you say, the matches today aren't really the greatest that you would hope to see in the first round, but there are a couple. Obviously, Clara Towson versus Linda Noskova is a big game to start off. That's the sort of game you want to be seeing first day of a Grand Slam, especially first slam of the season. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing Zverev versus Pouille. Obviously, Pouille in Grand Slam tennis after a while out. Obviously, I would expect Zverev to come through comfortably, but it's just good to see. Also, I'm interested to see what Mahatch brings after his trouble at the United Cup. Obviously, that was a very strange situation. What happened? It looked as though he retired injured as such, but he didn't seem to have too many issues. But I would like to see if Mahatch can get back on the court and really just put Nagal to bed as soon as possible, really, because that's exactly what Mahatch needs to sort of reset in a sense. Shang versus Jerry Shang versus Davidovich Fokina is also another game that I think could go 5, go the distance. Davidovich Fokina used to be 21 in the world. Obviously, definitely has the quality to play big tennis, but Shang obviously won his first title a couple months ago, 19, up and coming. It's going to be a good match, I think.
Yeah, I definitely marked down Davidovich Fokina's match. Definitely for him too, as a player to watch just in the first round alone. Ashley, for you, what is whether it's today, if you don't have a match for today, just of the first round, what are you looking forward to? Which match are you kind of really focusing in on?
Yeah, I like the Noskova and Towson matchup for today specifically. That's the first time matchup between them. Noskova broke out, made it to the quarterfinals, I believe, last year, if I recall correctly. So I would really like to see Linda kind of back up her run at the Australian Open last year. But I would also like to see Clara get some success. So I'm really interested to see how both of them kind of handle, navigating the first time jitters of, facing somebody. But yeah, that's the matchup that I'm looking forward to the most throughout the entire first round in particular. But yeah.
Carson, how about you, my friend? What match are you looking forward to, whether it's today or just in general about the first round?
I mean, I think the best match of today is going to be the Clara Towson match against Linda Noskova. I think that's just two very, very good players, young players that have a lot of potential. One that I think is going a little bit under the radar today is Paula Badosa taking on Wang Qiyu.
Yes.
This is the highest ranked matchup as far as just where their actual rankings are. Paula Badosa is the 12 in the world right now, and Wang is 37 in the world. And she's really started to come on to the scene in the last couple of years, a young player from China. The Australian Open is the only major tournament that she has a losing record at. So I'm kind of interested if she is able to get through Paula Badosa. If Badosa starts out a little bit slower, there's a path here for either of these players to get to the fourth round fairly easily with a matchup against Marta Kostyuk.
We look at, let me go to Paula Badosa real quick, because she really was coming on strong at the end of the year, especially into the U.S. Open. Made it to the quarterfinals, and then I don't know what happened. She was leading in her final match and kind of just mentally fell apart there. I don't know if she'll be able to she's dealt with injuries, so hopefully she's able to bounce back there as well, and we'll see, how she plays in this matchup in the first round. Nick, we've just been going over the matchups to look forward to either today. For me, there's really not a match that I'm looking forward to today, but maybe there's one that you are, or just in general about the first round.
I think we should focus on today. And for me, the one that I'm most excited about, not just today, but actually over the course of the entire first round, I think you've already mentioned it, Clara Towson against Linda Noskova. Both are young players. Noskova has great history with Australia. Towson's just won in Auckland. They both have a big game. They're both young. I'm struggling I have an idea of where I think it's going to go, but I think it's going to be a really entertaining match. That's the one I'm most excited for. That's probably the one I'm going to be watching when I wake up in the morning on catch up. I guess there's like a couple of other matches that I'm really excited for, which would be like Bencic Ostapenko. I can't call which way that one's going to go. I guess as a third one, Navarro Stearns. I'm very excited for that. I think it's two very exciting young American talents going head to head, and that's going to be on, for me, Tuesday.
I think the two matchups that I'm looking forward to in this first round, and Ashley talked about him already. We mentioned him, Ben Shelton versus Brandon Nakashima. I think that two U.S. guys going up against each other, I really like that matchup. And, I don't know how this will play out, but I'd be interesting to see how Naomi Osaka plays up against Caroline Garcia. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that matchup.
The thing is with Osaka, along with so many others in the last week, it's always like this the week before a Grand Slam, is that there's been so many withdrawals and retirements that people have felt something and gone, we don't want to risk it for a Grand Slam. So obviously Osaka was a bit different. She looked like she was really struggling in her final in Auckland against Towson. But I really think Osaka has the game to take it against Garcia. I think Garcia obviously tailed off a bit at the end of 2024 and didn't really finish on a strong note. And Osaka started the year, if she's fit, in a really positive way, obviously with Patrick Mouratoglou. I think they're the right fit at the moment for each other. And hopefully she makes a strong round.
As you see on the sidebar, 4 matchups, and they split them 2-2 each. There was a comment in the chat that we had gotten a new subscriber to the channel. So shout out to the new subscriber here. I don't know if John could bring that back up, but appreciate. There you go, Fabiana. Great to have you a part of Talking Tennis channel. When we talk about injuries too, I want to talk about Emma Raducanu, and maybe we'll start with you, Nick, since you follow a lot of the WTA. I know that there was this whole situation with her and the bug bites and not wanting to take anything for it because of the whole issues that have been going around with the doping and all that stuff. She's suffered a lot of injuries in her career so far, in her young career. We know she won the U.S. Open a few years back. What is the road that you see for Emma Raducanu?
I don't think anyone knows what's ahead of Raducanu anymore. We were so certain that she was going to be the next big tennis star, potentially a great champion, winning the US Open so young and so early in her pro career. I mean, how many pro tournaments she played at that point? Very, very few. Like, she practically just started on the main tour. And so your injuries have derailed it to a certain extent. I do think there was some coaching mistakes that were made early on as well. I didn't think Torben Beltz was the right fit for her when they hired him. It was very clear the sort of the way he was trying to get her to play just didn't work for her natural style. I think now it's kind of we know what her max potential is, but we've not seen anything close to it for mostly reasons beyond her control. I guess because of that, plotting a road ahead for her is borderline impossible. I wrote an article on Talking Tennis, which you can see on the website, talking about what our minimum expectations should be for the 15 biggest names on the tour, or the 15 big names that I could identify. Jake, as a regular viewer, probably disappointed that Victoria Azarenka wasn't on that list, but Emma was on there, and my stance is like this season, minimum expectations for her should be breaking top 50. That seems to be where she thinks she's at minimum. Winning a WTA title is her push goal. That would be kind of her top end if she performs, but anything less than a top 50, again, would be a disappointment for her. Predicting anything more precise than that is really difficult.
What do you think about Emma Raducanu's, road, Biola?
Raducanu has been a really complicated case, just like Nick just mentioned. I think even when she's not injured, she tends to not be very consistent. She blows hot and cold, hasn't blown hot for quite for a long time, for a stretch. So I think it's very confusing, really, Emma Raducanu's career. But like Nick said, I feel like she would really need to probably break into the top 50, win another WTA title. I think she would really also need to probably humble herself, go into the 125s, play some 125s, to get some form. I think that would do her some good, especially when just coming back from injury instead of, just going straight into the big tournaments. I think she would, really do herself good by playing the 125s to just get some form. I also think, like Nick said, she's had a lot of issues with coaching, not maintaining the coach for a long time as well. I think she's just had a combination of problems. But we do see that the game is there. I mean, I don't believe in flash in the pans. I don't believe in, you know, you can't just win a grand slam out of nowhere. There is something there, no matter how easy in quotes your draw might have been. Winning a grand slam is a big deal. And once you win a grand slam, of course, eyes will be on you, and eyes have been on Emma Raducanu for these last 3 years. But I think people are beginning to see her as not very serious when it comes to her career. But I don't believe so. I believe there's still so much Emma Raducanu can offer if she just tweaks certain things about her off court situations, the coaching, the kind of tournaments to play, where exactly to play. There's so much really when it comes to American.
She's 22-12 on all services. You look at the hard court, 8-7 on hard court, and her Grand Slam. Obviously, she won the U.S. Open, like I mentioned. 4th round went into in Wimbledon, and only the 2nd round in both the French Open as well as the Australian Open. You see the subscriber count down there. If you like this video, you like what you see, make sure you like the video, give a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the Talking Tennis channel. And as John put it in the comments as well, Nick talked about it. Make sure to check out his article that he mentioned with the WTA season, the 2025 minimum expectations and stretch goals for each of the top players. We got about, I want to say, 8 minutes until the Australian Open officially begins. So I want to go around and get your winners from the men's singles as well as the women's singles. So let's start off with the men's singles here. We'll start off with you, Fergus, and we'll go around in a circle here. Fergus, who do you have winning the finals, and who are they doing it against? Who are they facing?
So I think it's hard to look past Sinner as champion, but I think it will be Zverev in the final, and I think it'll be Sinner in 4. I think Zverev definitely has the game to get to the final. Obviously made the semi-finals last year and probably should have made the finals after he, as you said earlier, got in his own way and lost in 5 to Medvedev as Medvedev came back. But I do think that Sinner will win again, but I think it would be nice to see a 1-2, 2 top seeds playing against each other in the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashley, who do you have in the before I go to you, with the Sinner matchup here, 4-2, Zverev there. So it could be an opportunity for him to win a final here. But Ashley, who do you have in the men's final, and who do you have winning?
Oh, see, I was talking about this with a couple of friends earlier, but I think I like Sinner Djokovic on the in the final. Sorry, my dad came in. But I like Sinner Djokovic for some reason. I was talking about it. I don't know why. I'm leaning that way. I wish I had a better reason, but there's just a feeling in me. It's hard for me to bet against Djokovic.
You're feeling that Djokovic Murray teamwork going on there, huh?
more so, I like it's hard for me to bet against Djokovic at the Australian Open. Like,
Fair.
it's more so that, but I can honestly definitely see Sinner Zverev as well. Those are probably the two that I'm like leaning towards. I don't if Djokovic gets Sinner again in a final, I think I'm leaning Djokovic in 5. But if it's Sinner Zverev, then I'm going with Ferguson, Sinner in 4. So.
All right, Biola, what do you have as your men's final, and who do you have winning? Oh, I think we lost her. Oh, we'll come back to Biola when she comes back on with us. Carson, who do you have in the men's final, and who do you got winning it?
I've got a popular final, apparently. I have Sinner and Zverev facing off in it, and I did something irresponsible when filling out my bracket, and I decided I thought Alexander Zverev was going to win. So I'm not sure how much I believe in that, but his serve has gotten much better, even over the last year. And his problem really last year in the matchup against Medvedev is just that he spent so much time on court leading up to that match. I believe that was his fifth round or a fifth set match in a row at that point. So just so much time on court. And I mean, with the way he's serving right now, he's serving 75+% with his first serve, which is absolutely insane. So I think he can pull this out.
Everybody, so a lot want to see this Zverev Sinner matchup. We'll see if that comes to fruition here. Nick, your men's final and your men's champion.
I'm in shock that no one said Sinner Alcaraz in their predictions. At least I would expect at least one person, given how many people we've got on here, to say Sinner Alcaraz. I wish I could say I was going to, but I'm not. I am actually, I'm actually going for Sinner Djokovic because I think I am kind of believing in this boost that Andy Murray is going to give Novak. I think he is motivated, and there's also a part of me that would want to see kind of the outgoing dominant force at the Australian Open taking on potentially the incoming one in Jannik Sinner, certainly the way he's ruled the hard courts. They're certainly both hard court masters in their own ways, and it's going to be a real generational clash. Who do I see coming out on that one? I think recent history and age would suggest it's going to be Jannik Sinner.
All right, Biola, what do you have as your men's final, and who do you have winning?
Nick mentioned the match that nobody mentioned, which is Sinner Alcaraz. I just absolutely love that matchup. I love to watch that matchup every time. And considering the year that we both had last season, I think that is a potential final. Of course, Carlos Alcaraz is looking to complete the career slam, which is almost ridiculous when you think about it. So yeah, Jannik Sinner is definitely going to be the final. I don't know. While I would like a Jannik Sinner Carlos Alcaraz final, I just kind of feel like if one person isn't going to make it there, it's most likely Alcaraz. Jannik Sinner just seems like he's already in the final, and we're just waiting to see who would be his opponent there. So I think Jannik Sinner versus anybody really is what it would be. But I'd really like to see Jannik Sinner versus Carlos Alcaraz.
So we've had
on that. Just to say that you're saying youngest person to create a career slam. If Alcaraz was to win the Australian Open, he'd also be the youngest man ever to win 5 Grand Slams.
Motivation.
I don't see Alcaraz being. Obviously, he lost the second round of US Open where he's had so much success before to Van der Sandstrom, and obviously it's a different year now. It's completely different scenario. But Alcaraz hasn't had that much success down under. He hasn't performed as well as he would have wanted to, and he's going through the motions of changing his serve action. I was watching a couple of clips of him serving yesterday again. A couple of days ago when he was with Petri Pericard, and it looks like he's changing his serve. He's trying to find the balance. And it was Djokovic played a practice set against Alcaraz, and Djokovic won 7-5. So I think with the whole Djokovic sort of Murray giving this boost to Djokovic, I think it is like that. I think Djokovic has almost got this extra motivation of, or he's really putting one last big push in to get this 100th title and 25 Grand Slams, and Murray's giving him that push. I just don't see that even if Djokovic and Alcaraz somehow played each other, that I think Djokovic would come out on top.
Djokovic, Alcaraz would play each other, I think, in the quarterfinals, if I am correct.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. So that will be an early matchup between the two, but one that we would all like to see nonetheless. So we have six here. Two wanted Sinner, Zverev. Two wanted Sinner and Djokovic. I'm gonna go Biola here. I'm gonna go Sinner, Alcaraz here, and I think Alcaraz gets it done. I think he completes the career Grand Slam. I mean, coming out of the U.S. Open, I know he was extremely frustrated with the way his season ended and how the play ended, and I can't see him, not bouncing back here. I know he struggled, like you mentioned, Fergus, in the Australian Open, only made it to the quarterfinals last season. But I think this is a big one for him. And if he can get past Novak Djokovic in the quarterfinals, I have a lot of confidence in him. This will be, like Nick said, it would be his 5th career Grand Slam, the youngest to get to 5. So I'm going to go with Biola here and go Alcaraz with Sinner here, and I will have Alcaraz winning this. I want to quickly, before we get to the women's, I know that John put up, if you haven't done so already, join the Talkin' Tennis Fantasy League on the tennis app there, the TNNS app. Make sure you join that. It's a lot of fun. I already put my brackets in for the men's single as well as the women's single final there as well. So make sure you guys are joining that if you're not. So it's a lot of fun to play on and download the tennis app. A lot of information you get there, a lot of stats, everything. It's a fun app to be a part of, so make sure you check that out. So as we go through the women's final, I'll start with Biola here on this one. We'll work our way around through Nick, Fergus, as well as Ashley and Carson. Biola, with the women's final, who do you have and who do you want to see win the women's final?
I have Arina Sabalenka versus Iga Swiatek, world number 1 versus number 2. We have seen these two women play mind-blowing matches in different places except a Grand Slam final. We've seen them in 1,000 finals, in Grand Slam semifinals at the US Open in 2022. Was that? Yes. But we haven't seen them play in the Grand Slam final, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. While we know Iga Swiatek doesn't have, a lot of success here, but, she's still a semifinalist down under. But I really think this is going to be probably their best match yet if they get to face each other in a Grand Slam final. But I think, considering the way she's played in the last year, I have a heart and head situation when it comes to who will win. I think my head says Sabalenka and heart says Swiatek.
There you go. And as we saw up there were 12 matches between the both of them. Iga has won 8. As Sabalenka has won 4. I'm trying to pull up here and see who has won what on the hard court, but I can't find that stat at the moment in time. I don't know if anyone knows off the top of their head. Nick, maybe you know.
Fairly even on hard court. It's fairly even on hard court, I would say, actually. Just off the top of my memory, Iga's got some good wins against Arena on her career on hard court, including the US Open semi-final. And then also the WTA final semi-final from 2023. So it wouldn't be unheard of for Iga to pull that off.
Isn't it
all right, Nick? Go ahead, say that again.
Isn't it like 3-2 Iga on hard courts? If my math is right.
Sounds about right, yeah, because they've played at least 3 times on clay, because there's 2 Madrid finals and the Rome final. Yeah. So that would make sense.
So sorry.
No, all good. All good. Nick, who do you have?
Saying 3-3.
3-3.
Oh, dang. Just off.
Nick, who do you have in the women's final, and who do you have winning?
So, funny story. I had a completely different final until I went on WTA Weekly earlier today to kind of go through it, and I went, I am going to struggle to justify this. My original final was Arina Sabalenka against Elena Rybakina. And then I went, no, I think it's going to be Sabalenka versus Swiatek. I think if Swiatek gets through round 3, I'm going to agree with Biola on this one. And actually, my stance on it is very similar to Biola's. My head is telling me Sabalenka. My gut's telling me Swiatek. I think also what would make this absolutely fascinating is if it was the Grand Slam final, if this was the final, Sabalenka Swiatek, it would be a winner-takes-all match for world number 1. Whoever won the match would be the world number 1, which is the spectacle that I think tennis needs right now, especially since it would be the first, as Biola said, first Grand Slam final clash between these two. I trust my head more than my gut. You could also say heart, given I'm a very vocal Iga fan. But I would say that, for me, I'm going to trust my head more because my gut's got me into all kinds of interesting situations that we don't need to go through right now. So, Sabalenka, I'm going to go safe.
All right, Fergus, who do you got in the women's final and who you have winning?
Well, needed a change from both Sabalenka and Swiatek in the final. So I have 2 different players in the final. My final is Goff versus Rybakina, with Goff winning. I think Goff she's already beaten Iga already this year, and obviously Sabalenka's imperious on a hard court, but I think that there might just be a shift this year, and I think Goff has been threatening to win another slam the whole of last year after she won her own slam at the US Open in 2023. And Rybakina obviously loves the conditions in Australia, and I don't think she's the kind of person to be fazed by much. I mean, this whole talk about her coach, obviously is big stuff, but I mean, it really looks like nothing really, when she has mindset on something, it really doesn't faze her. I mean, when she won Wimbledon, it's like she just won a 250 match and she was walking to shake hands. It was like, this is so weird. She's not even cracked a smile. Like, I feel that she will make it to the final, but I think Goff will have too much on the day, and I think it'll be Goff.
Coco Gauff also coming in hot on the season, 3-0, especially on hard court outdoors. So that would be a big win for her. And I think that would be nice to see her in a final there. She's already won the US Open. She's been in the French Open final as well, semifinals last year of the Australian Open. Yemi DeFam saying Gauff will be in the finals. She has been on fire lately. Ashley, who do you got in the finals?
The OGs of this channel will know that I am a Gauff truther. I have been behind Gauff since she burst onto the scene in 2019. However, I would be remiss if I didn't say I would like to see Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek in a Grand Slam final. Winner takes all for the number 1 position on the WTA side would be entertaining tennis to me. I think so my final is Sabalenka Swiatek, and my winner winner chicken dinner, a 3-peat for Miss Sabalenka. I just want to see that. I like Sabalenka's game. I'm a big fan of her game, and her making her impact onto the Australian Open would just be really fun for me to see as someone who enjoys watching Sabalenka. Sometimes it can be rather painful as a fan because she drives me up the wall. But
one of my favorite memories of you, Ashley, was commentating on the 2023 Australian Open final with you and Miles, and me having to provide the emotional stability that was needed watching the two of you kind of struggle with watching Sabalenka get over the line in that match.
Jesus, I was like wrapped up in a blanket and I had sunglasses on because I had a migraine, and she was just like stressing me out. My God. I'm glad that's your favorite memory of me. I'm glad someone enjoyed how stressed I was at that moment. But yeah, hopefully I would say Sabalenka in 3 because I don't see Iga, giving up a final in 2, in my opinion. But yes.
Carson, who do you have in the women's final, and who is your winner?
I'll try to make this quick because matches have started as we are speaking. So I think Aryna Sabalenka is going to get back to the final. From the bottom half of the draw, the player that I think I trust the most on hard court right now is Emma Navarro. And so I'm going to pick Emma Navarro to go all the way to the final in a bit of a wild card pick. And then I think Sabalenka will win that matchup. They played a great match, though, at the U.S. Open. So I think that one would be exciting to watch.
I thought mine was a bit wild.
That is a crazy
I'm glad
pull,
someone
but-
else is
Yeah.
throwing that into the mix.
I'm loving this.
Did not see that coming.
No. Emma
Wow.
Navarro was maybe like the 11th person I thought you were going to say.
To be honest,
I was thinking like top 15 at most, like top 15. Ooh.
Well, they
I
played
actually
each other
have
3
Navarro
times.
going out first round in my bracket to Stearns.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Stearns loves to play against a big player, but she always seems to just fall short, like in a third set
Yeah.
tiebreak, or like
After 3
I
hours and
remember
15
it was
minutes.
Indian Wells last year when she played Sabalenka second round and she lost it. She had like 5 match points and she lost in a third set tiebreak. Yeah. I just think she always falls, Stearns always just against big players falls just short.
I
She's
do like
dangerous,
Stearns.
100%.
I'm worried about the head-to-head against Navarro. It's 4-1 right now, with I believe a majority of that coming on hard court. So I love Peyton Stearns. She's really fun to watch. If you haven't watched her, I just think that Emma Navarro is a bad matchup for her right now.
I think Peyton Stearns is the same version of, is the women's version of Kokkinakis. Has this massive game, but never seems to make huge strides in rankings. Has all the right ingredients to be a top 50, top 40 player, but can never seem to put it in one role and make moves up the rankings. It's strange.
Well, she has time compared to Kokonakis. I think she's a little younger. So yeah, I think there is definitely some hope for her. She likes to play these long, excruciating, brawling matches and then fall short at the end. But I think she can probably grow into her game and start winning some bigger matches.
As you see the matchup right there, the 5 matches between Peyton Stearns and Emma Navarro. Navarro has the lead 4-1 there. ATX Super Dave in the chat saying, I was high on Navarro until I noticed that she doesn't use her left hand to rotate her shoulder on her forehand. Not loving that technique, but she may prove me wrong. So there you have that. I guess I don't really care who she faces. I just think that Sabalenka is going to get a three-peat here. She's coming in strong. She's the number 1 player for a reason. And I think even Iga, even if Iga makes it, obviously it'll be great for her considering all the things that have been gone down in the background. I think that Sabalenka is just going to be too much for Iga, especially on the hard court. So I have Sabalenka winning it all.
So I have a question on the back of that then. Is Coco Gauff Aryna Sabalenka's biggest threat for this Australian Open three-peat?
I think so. I think Coco will always be that thorn on the side of Sabalenka, whether it's in a final or in a quarter or semi. I think that Coco Gauff is always going to be that one that pushes Sabalenka to the end of her limits there. I know a lot of people like the Sabalenka Iga Swiatek because they're 1 and 2, but I think that rivalry that's coming between Gauff and Sabalenka I like a whole lot better.
I think Swiatek hasn't been playing. Obviously, she's only played one tournament, the United Cup this year, but I think she definitely wasn't playing her best tennis. I mean, Katie Bolter pushed her all the way. That was a great match to watch. And then obviously she lost to Gauff. So that was sort of like a changing of the guard almost, that Gauff sort of just slips into that number 2 spot as Sabalenka's biggest competitor on the main circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for being a part of this this whole preview to the Australia Open, which got started about 14 minutes ago. So I know we're all going to now go and watch the matchups that are going to take place today. Nick, Fergus, thank you, as well as Biola, who she had to get off there, as a Carson. Ashley, thank you all for being a part of this whole preview for the tournament. I don't know if you want to promote maybe your social media before we get off. We'll go around. Nick, your social media, what you got going on?
It's Nick at Nick_B Carter on X. You can also find me on Blue Sky and Threads. I'm a regular part of the Talking Tennis team, so you'll probably see me every now and again on the channel. You can also check out my other podcast that I'm involved in, which is Ground Pass. But that's more aimed at the casual tennis fan.
Fergus, what do you got going on, and what is head out your social media for us all?
It's just Fergus_Gav. I'm really looking forward to this to get going, to be honest. I'm actually kind of more looking forward to tomorrow than I am today. Looking forward to some actual matchups. Final matchup that I'm really looking forward to. No one has actually mentioned maybe the biggest name not the biggest name in the tournament, but one of them. No one's mentioned Nick Kyrgios today. And I am really excited to see how he does, whether he plays a set against Fernley and then calls it a day, or whether he doesn't play at all. I'm not Kyrgios' biggest fan, but he's always entertaining. That's all I got to say.
I think he'll play it up for a little bit for the Australian fan base, but he always, like you said, he's a wild card man. He'll figure out when he wants to bow out or what. He's just such a wild card.
I'm just surprised no one's said anything about Kyrgios today after all the stuff he's been talking about with Sinner. I think that's
exactly why we didn't mention it.
Yeah.
Ashley's got the thumbs down there right away.
I'm having a thumbs down as well.
Ashley, what do you got? What are you working on, and what is your social media handle? And you can chime in on the Nick's Kyrgios as well as the thumbs down. Go ahead.
Listen, if there's one thing y'all need to know about me, is that I am a noted Nick Kyrgios hater, so I try to not talk about him at all. But anyway, if you like to tune into the random musings and thoughts of a 24-year-old college graduate that is navigating the world of sports media, I am on every social media platform that you can think of. Twitter, because I refuse to call it X, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, whatever you call it, at Ashley M. Woods, ASHLEEMWOODS.
And I like that you got all of the social media handles to be the same. I know it's hard these days to try to get them all to be together, but Ashley M. Woods, appreciate you, Ashley. Carson, what do you got, my friend?
So I'm on Twitter and Threads primarily. Is where I do most of my tennis talking, at Carson Nix 01, the number 01. So just talk about tennis primarily on those platforms.
Fantastic. Biola, how about you?
I am constantly talking tennis on Twitter, but I also do videos on TikTok, tennis videos on TikTok, Instagram. Also just registered on Blue Sky as well. And my social media handles are the same across the board at Beorlicious. That's BEEORLITIOUS.
All right, and you can catch me at Ant Rivera 86. You can catch me on this channel from time to time. This is my first time hosting, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and I appreciate everyone for not only tuning in, being a part of the chat, but everyone on this panel did a great job. And it was a lot of fun. But now it's time to watch tennis, and now it's time to watch the Australian Open. So appreciate you all. Thank you. The thumbs up from everyone here in the chat. Take care. Have a good night, and we'll see you again.
Bye, everyone.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.